Some stories catch you off guard. You stumble into them expecting one thing, and they leave you reeling with something else entirely. A feeling, a memory, maybe even a wound you didn't realize was still open. Well, that was my experience with the one-shot manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto called Goodbye Eerie. While pursuing my bachelor's at Full Sail University in creative writing, I was tasked with reviewing a graphic novel, and, well, this is the one I chose, not thinking much of it. I had no idea it would become one of those stories that after you finish, you sit, you breathe, and maybe you even cry. Just a little bit. Goodbye Eerie begins with a simple yet painful premise. Yuta is a boy whose mother is dying, and for his 12th birthday, she gives him the gift of a smartphone. Her vision is for him to record every single moment of her final memories. And he does. He films the joy, the pain, ordinary in-between moments, and when she finally passes, he just couldn't stand to be there. And so, he made a fantastical edit to the film. He screens this film at his school, but it ends with a twist. Yuta running away from the hospital as it explodes. But people didn't like it. They laughed. They made fun of him. They said he didn't understand what he was doing and that he betrayed the realness of grief. The hate was overwhelming, and Yuta was crushed by his grief and disappointment, and so he climbed to the top of the hospital that his mother passed in, where he wanted to end it all. But on that rooftop, he meets a young girl by the name of Eerie. She's not like the others. She said she actually enjoyed his film, and even more so than that, she wanted to help him create another film, his magnum opus, a film that would make them all cry. So begins their strange yet tender partnership. They spend their days watching all sorts of films, action films, dramas, classics, anything they can get their hands on. Eerie has this presence about her, a quiet charm as it were. She's a little blunt, maybe a little awkward, but deeply kind in a way that feels earned. It doesn't feel fake. It doesn't feel forced. And so, together, they film. Well, they develop the story, learning all the key components of writing, rising actions, conflict, character arcs, and the like. Yuta comes up with a unique story. What if the story took place from a boy whose mother was passing from a terminal illness? A boy that was tasked with filming her final moments. And a boy who screens this film to a school only to realize that nobody likes his work. Naturally, Eerie rebuttals with, "Hey, Yuta, this is a story you've already written. This is a story that you already screened." But one thing Yuta learned is that fantasy is a core driving component in all of his stories and what makes him unique as a writer. And so he sets out a point to make sure she knows it's actually a fantasy. At the end of all this, he encounters a young, beautiful woman on the rooftop. A vampire woman who saves his life. With one special twist. She's also dying, and she tasks him with filming her life as a way to live on forever. And in stereotypical writer fashion, they're going to argue over some of the minutiae of details. They're going to work out some of those beats, laugh at some of the tropes they create, and ultimately, you realize these movie discussions are more than just craft. They're the way of coping, translating something absolutely tragic and unbearable into something beautiful. And then, life imitates art again. Eerie collapses, and it's a harsh truth that Yuta must face. She's dying. Yuta doesn't know how to process this. He's lost his mother due to a terminal illness, and now he's going to lose the love of his life. In an effort to escape everything in reality, Yuta yet again runs away. Just like the time when he screened the film and people made fun of him, he ran towards his supposed freedom. This time, however, he's met by his father in his room, and his father reveals a deep, disturbing, yet poetic truth. Yuta's mother wasn't a loving, kind mother. She was harsh, she was cold, and the only reason she tasked Yuta with filming her final moments was so that if she should ever conquer this illness, she would have a comeback story, a movie, a documentary that she could share to all of her cohorts in the film industry and make a cash cow out of his efforts. But what his father pointed out to him was that Yuta painted his mother in a beautiful, warm, and tender light. Yuta's film painted his mother in a beautiful light. She showed as kind, compassionate, and caring, not only towards Yuta, but towards his father. And in so, that is what's going to live on forever. And then his father poses a statement. Maybe that's exactly what Eerie is looking for as well. Thanks to his father's encouragement and newfound determination at creating something that people enjoy, they continue filming. They do this even as Eerie's body continues to fade and deteriorate. They continue capturing beautiful moments, the joy, the melancholy, the beauty of those moments. There's something unspeakably moving about these moments. These aren't flashy, showy panels. They're not scenes that depict high action, high octane moments. They're scenes of two people trying to make something lasting out of something fragile. Eventually, Eri passes. Yuta edits the film, and the film premieres. This time, mission accomplished. The entire crowd is left speechless and moved to tears because the movie was done so beautifully. Yuta did it. He told her story, and people felt it. He made something meaningful, something true, despite all the lies found within it, despite the fiction. Or maybe because of it. Years pass, and as they do, Yuta continues to revisit this film, re-editing it, trying to re-encapsulate something so much larger than the story he was able to have with Eri in those short moments, in those short months. But Yuta grows up. He moves on. He finds love, gets married, has a family, but in stereotypical Fujimoto fashion, tragedy abounds. One day while he was driving his family, he was involved in a horrible car accident which took the life of his father, his wife, and his children. And once again, Yuta is left alone with nobody to support him, nobody to encourage him. And as such, he decides that enough is enough. There's too much tragedy, too much pain in this world. I'm going to end it all in the place where I have the most fond memories. The abandoned building where Yuta and Eri spent so much time reviewing film, hanging out, and getting to know each other. Yuta makes his way there. He sets up the projector, puts his film in, and then Eri is there. She's young, unchanged, and waiting. Eri reveals in a heartfelt moment that Yuta's film doesn't have enough fantasy, and maybe that's why he had such a hard time really nailing down the edit of that over the years. Naturally, Yuta rebuts with the fact that I made you a vampire. Clearly fantastic. However, charming as ever, Eri reveals the truth. It isn't actually fantasy. She is a vampire, and her terminal illness that caused her to pass, as it were, was after every 200 years her brain has to cycle, wipe itself clean, reset, so that she can go on living. And in another beautiful, touching moment, Eri reveals that she no longer has to suffer and feel like she is alone like she has over so many decades, so many centuries, so many millennia up to this point, because Yuta's film will be forever. Yuta's film saved her, just as she once saved him. It's surreal, it's beautiful, it blurs the line between reality and fiction so thoroughly you stop asking yourself to separate them, because that's the point. In the final two splash page panel that this manga has to offer, it showcases Yuta walking away from that abandoned building. Cinematic explosion in the background. Upon closing that book, the most cathartic feeling I could ever convey to you guys washed over me in a wave of emotions. When I finished Goodbye Eri, I cried. Not in those loud, flashy, dramatic, gut-wrenching cries, but something quieter, something deeper, something a little more subtle. A few tears here, a quiver, a silent ache that comes when a story touches you at your core, and you didn't even know it was still raw. I've read and watched a lot of sad stories, but this one was different. It wasn't just about death. It was about a memory, about grief, about how we use art, stories, movie, fiction to make sense of something that feels too big to process, too painful to deal with, and too real to hold on your own. And maybe that's what I loved so much about it, that it wasn't afraid to tell a little lie here, a little lie there, in order to tell the full truth. That's the magic of fiction. It lets us reshape the past. It lets us give meaning. It lets us give ending to things, people, moments that never got the ending it should have. And sometimes it lets us cry safely. And this book found me in the best moments. The moments that I'm pursuing a creative career. The moments I'm struggling with self-doubt, with worth. The moments when I wonder if fiction is truly the area I need to work in. Moments where I've lost someone dear to me. And I found that Goodbye Eri is more than just a one-shot manga. It's a love letter to storytelling, to grief, to the human need to remember and be remembered. If you've ever lost somebody, if you've ever tried to turn pain into something meaningful, if you've ever told a story not just to share it, but to survive it, then this story is for you. I'm glad I read it, and I certainly hope that you do as well. And if you've read this story before, let me know in the comment section down below what it meant to you, what you felt, and how it impacted your life. If you've never read it, please feel free to do so. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And finally, if you have other stories that impacted you on such a large scale, whether it made you happy, made you sad, made you emote in some fashion or another, please leave that in the comment section down below, and I would be more than happy to read, review, and do a quick little video just like this one. Because maybe somebody needs that just as much as you did in the moment. As always, liking, commenting, subscribing are great ways for you to let me know what you like, didn't like, and what you want to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.